Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Ford Train Express. I'm your boy, the Ford Train Express. Today, we have a very special guest today, and here he is, Mr. Bruce Maxwell. Bruce, thank you for taking the time out to join me today, and welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, man? And no problem at all. I appreciate the invite.
No problem. So, uh, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk baseball, talk whatever. We'll get questions from the chat. We'll have a fun conversation, and we'll go with that.
All right. Sounds
So,
good to me.
so first off, I remember you playing with Oakland mostly, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
What was it like for you, coming up through the system, and what was it like coming into your own player, if you want to put it that way?
The system with the A's is actually very, at least at the time that I was there, it was very organized, very fulfilling. Obviously, in every minor league season, you have a couple cities where your teams are based out of that are kind of difficult, in small towns or bad stadiums, bad crowds, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's every minor league stadium, so that wasn't a really big issue as a whole for a lot of us. But coming through the system, man, it was structured very well. I got all the help that I needed. I got all the extra time that I needed when it came to learning how to catch. Because when I got drafted, I got turned into a catcher. And so in Beloit, Wisconsin, it was freezing. It was freezing when we got there, and at the end of March, April. I've never played that far north before, so a lot of us it was a shocker to a lot of us. And then you go to Stockton, California, where middle of summer it's 110 degrees every day. Double A, Midland, Texas. Triple A at the time was in Nashville, Tennessee. But they did their best, the best they could with our teams and in the cities that they were in. And I never had an issue in the minor leagues, man. It was our coaches were great. The team we had, majority of us played together for a couple years. And so going through the system, it actually wasn't bad at all. And I had, a great experience, and I developed very well.
That's awesome. Was your position originally?
I played first base predominantly in college. And
Okay.
then when my junior year rolled around, we didn't have any upperclassmen behind the plate at my school. And so both of my coaches at the time were former catchers as well in college. And so they were like, Bruce, we can work with you. We can work with you on the blocking thing, but you're athletic, and we need a leader. We need a leader behind the plate. This year. Most of the guys that are going to be on the field with you are freshmen and sophomores, and we need like a leadership role, behind the plate, so everybody can kind of lean on you a little more. And so I've caught and I played first base, predominantly caught my junior year, but my blocking was severely below average because
Yeah.
I didn't catch as a kid or anything, but I did my best. I picked and threw it well. Towards the end of the year, my catching got better, obviously, but they bona fide wanted me to catch when Oakland called me for the draft. So
Interesting. Um, so as it like, how did you get your love of baseball? Who was it was it your dad, your mom, a cousin, a brother? Who got you into the game of baseball?
Oh, my dad for sure. My dad never played past high school, but my dad was a multi-sport athlete. My dad's side of the family is super athletic,
Mm-hmm.
and so as a kid, he was always my coach until I got to high school, and he just kind of his passion and love for the game and love for the work and the grind of kind of every day is something that I fell in love with personally. And then as we got older, I developed my own individual love for the game of baseball.
There you go.
But definitely wouldn't have started. Um, Definitely wouldn't have started without my pops though.
That makes sense, and that's awesome that your dad was there to kind of get you into the sport. So that's really cool. What what part of the game um, of the majors did you enjoy the most? Was it just the camaraderie? Was it just the chance to play in all these bigger stadiums? Was it just the lights? What for you was it that was so great about the majors, other than the fact that it was the top of the line?
Um, I would say the camaraderie, but the competition. It was like when you get to the big leagues, like no matter how good or bad somebody's doing, it's like the floor is higher.
Yeah,
So it's like every year, every level you go up, the the gap in talent is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But when you get to the big leagues, man, you're playing the best however many, players are in the world. Like and it's one of those things, and it's surreal to think about it because, I was considered one of those for 3 years.
yeah,
I was one of those guys. And so I love the camaraderie because, I made a lot of friends along the way. Some of my mentors, some of my big brothers today, Adam Jones, Coco Crisp, Torrey Hunter helped me out when I was still in the States.
Hmm.
I got to meet a lot of people, and I still can be in touch with those people. But even though we were competing, there would be a second of the day where they made sure, Bruce, hey, congrats on getting here. Work starts now, like da 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 da. Good luck to you. Glad to see you up here. And then, we go back to competing. It was like a mutual respect thing because as a rookie, they're not obligated to come speak to you and show you any type of respect because you haven't earned the time.
hmm
But I never ran across in 3 years. I never ran across, even in spring training, I never ran across a veteran that went out of his way to be a dick. He was unprofessional. No, everybody I've met and I've played against, alongside, super professional, super competitive, but also super respectful of the people around him.
That's awesome. That's really cool here. And as we move on in today's game, pitchers are throwing harder. Um, you're seeing some of the great players leave the game. Like last year, Yadier Molina left, in retirement, and you see all these newer faces coming in. Does that almost remind you of when you first came up as a rookie, uh, coming up and seeing all these new faces? Um, in the big leagues and coming into your own as a big league ball player yourself?
Kind of yes and no. I guess. I mean, it's sad to. First of all, I know I'm getting old, because seeing these guys retiring and getting out of the game and realizing, oh wow, they've been playing for 20 years, oh 18 years. Like, some of these guys have, hell, I don't know when Albert Pujols got in the league, but I think it was well before I got drafted.
Hmm.
So it's like the crazy to think about it, that way. But it was an honor to, especially like Yachty, and being a catcher, it was an honor to talk to him and get to know him just a little bit and be able to put like the legend to the name on a
Yeah.
personal level, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, of our generation or my generation, whatever. Um, Yachty's been the dude.
Yeah.
And growing up, I really didn't respect it a whole lot because I wasn't a catcher. And then when I became one, I was like, this is the guy everybody wants to be like, and so I met him. I got some things signed by him, of course, my rookie year when we played St. Louis. And it's a pleasure. I mean, I have it in the case at the house and stuff like that. All my vets that I've been around have been really good about that. But now it is crazy to see those same guys. Now they're retiring. Now they're out. Now they're leaving. Now they're doing this. And I was like, dang, man, like it's a, end of an era. I bet it was like when everybody saw like Griffey and all those guys retire,
Yeah.
it's great. It's crazy to think about, but it's like been a professional for 13 years, and Yachty's gone, Pujols is
Yeah.
gone. A lot of these big time guys that we grew up watching, they're like, okay, my time is up now. I'm great, but we got to go. Like
Yeah.
it's tough to watch because especially depending on your position, when you see these vets after 15, 18, 20-year careers, it gets emotional if you have any type of attachment to said position or player,
Yeah.
because these guys aren't, these guys weren't lucky to play 18, 20 years, right? They were elite, so
Yeah.
it's like a piece of, like a piece of the big leagues goes with you when you see these guys leave the game. It's sad, but it's also an appreciation to their greatness along the way.
Absolutely. But before we continue this outstanding conversation, let's give a quick shout out to the chat. We've got Stephen B. What's going on? Ken, how's it going? Deb, we've got Aiden. How you guys doing? One of our viewers has a question, a couple questions for you. He says, Mr. Maxwell, as I understand it, you were a military brat like myself. Uh, were you a multiple sport athlete? If so, what was your favorite sport?
So I predominantly played baseball and basketball. Tried to play football when I was a little younger. It wasn't really my cup of tea. But I played basketball pretty frequently because my sister, who's older than me, I'm the youngest. She played basketball. She played Division I basketball as well, and so I played it to be like her pretty much. But all that running up and down the court's not really my thing.
Yeah.
But baseball's always been my love of the game, and it's always been the thing that I really have never wavered from. I like the complexity and the difficulty of the game of baseball, especially from a mental aspect.
Hmm.
If the complex thinking, the situational awareness, the constant adjustments,
Yeah.
those are the things that I really love about the game of baseball. And
Hmm.
then me loving that and learning the game itself at such a young age from my father, it's kind of humorous that I became a catcher in my professional career. And
Yeah.
so I actually really, that's the best part about the game for me. Like everybody loves hitting, every people might love defense, whatever, but the mental strategy and war that you go through, especially behind the plate, when you conquer that, I think that's probably the best feeling that I've ever continuously had as a catcher for 13 years.
That's really cool. Nathan, welcome to the chat. How's it going, bud? Ken also had another question for you. When you played for the A's, attendance has been low. How do fans in Mexico compare to those in the States?
Oh man, there's no comparison. There really isn't. I've actually had this conversation quite a few times amongst fans and friends of mine here in the states.
Hmm.
Down there, especially if you play for a stronger team, the crowd. I mean, the crowds and the people are electric, man. Like it's they bring. There's constant noise through 9 innings, however long that game is. There's constant noise. There's constant banter. Everybody has cheerleaders. They have on-field crews. They have things going on during the games. Like I was recently in Tijuana this year, actually coaching at the beginning of this season down in Mexico, and I was our catching guy, and I helped out with our hitters and pitchers and stuff. And Tijuana's like a gigantic party, like throughout our game, and like they have three sets of cheerleaders, both male and female. They have dance teams. They have the lights. They have the video board shows. I mean, and this is all throughout the game. As soon as one of the unique things that I love about Mexico and playing in Mexico, it's like as soon as the pitcher throws a pitch, and the ball's coming back to the pitcher, music's playing, and then right when that pitcher comes set again, it stops. And then it's just there's like no dead period. If you play in Tijuana, Monterrey, Mexico City, any of these teams that are bigger marketed teams, the comparison to the States is there is none. I mean, you
Yeah.
think about it when the big league games go down to Mexico, they play in Monterrey, they play in Mexico City. Those stadiums are sold out. And those are native, most of those people are natives, you know, and they love baseball. The Latin culture loves the baseball, but fans come out, they bring drums, they bring trumpets, they bring those noise cracker things, and it's all game long. It's all game long. I love it. It's incredible.
That's really a really cool, experience. It must be. Um, I mean, I've gone to many of games, but that sounds like it's definitely a highlight of a player's career is a play down in Mexico with all that going on.
Yeah, it's a culture shock, and most of the guys that I know coming from the states, they've enjoyed the environment much more because, especially when you're in the minor leagues, or I came up in Oakland. Um, like you said, attendance was already declining when I got up my rookie year,
Yeah,
and it's super. Like, even if you watch a game, right, live broadcast, pretty much when that pitcher gets on the mound, it's silent in those stadiums.
yeah,
Like, it's super silent. And I think we conduct ourselves in the States more so as a business than a, like, we really do pride ourselves on treating it like a job.
yeah,
Down there, dude, the players, the fans, everybody, they embrace the culture, they embrace the camaraderie amongst the fans, they embrace the city that they're in, and there it's like a no holds bars match. It's, you want to bring drums, go right ahead. You want to bring horns, sick. You have what, four sets of cheerleaders, awesome, bring them all. I mean, it's, well, and it's like they embrace it because they really do treat it like an entertainment
yeah,
attraction. And then I've had a lot more fun just in general. And I'm not really a guy who seems like he has fun when he plays because I take it very serious behind the
of
plate.
course.
But the environment makes it more enjoyable day to
So it's
day.
more relaxed.
It's more relaxed, yes, but I think at some point in time in everybody's career, they have to go play in a Latin country. When you go, the Dominicans, the same thing. I
Yeah,
heard in Venezuela, same thing. Those fans and those teams embrace that team so much. And the natives, they love to support their teams, man. And like I said, they make I think one of the biggest differences is down in Mexico, tickets, food, alcohol, whatever is available at these games, it's very affordable to your normal person.
hmm.
I think that's one of the big gigantic differences. Like, they make it affordable for people even of lesser status to be able to bring their whole family and enjoy a baseball game. Like, it's one of the biggest differences. You're not having to spend $40 on parking, and then 100 to get decent seats, $115 a ticket, and
Yeah,
then beer or drink sales are 10, $12. Hot dogs are $12. Hamburgers are $15. Like, you don't have to come out of an arm and a leg just to enjoy a baseball game. And I
yeah.
think that's one of the biggest things they do correctly in these Latin countries.
Yeah, no, because I've been to a couple of World Baseball Classic games where the U.S. has played the Dominican Republic, and you can just tell the vibe and get that from the vibe of you know the Dominican fans, and they're there to support their country and have a good time. You can definitely feel that. So I mean, it's really an interesting sight when you actually go see it. Whether you're a player or a fan, it's still a very cool thing to see. Um, when you were with the A's, was there a stadium that you enjoyed playing in the most?
Oof. Let's see. The Mets up in New York with the Mets. I've always loved City Field
Hmm.
because inside of that city, like at night when you walk on that field, it's literally like you're in Times Square.
Hmm.
Um, it's lit up, the video board, the Apple, everything is so vibrant around you. It makes that place awesome to play at least for me. And then the Philly Stadium was actually really, really dope to play in. I enjoyed that a lot.
Interesting.
Um, I didn't get to go to a whole lot of places. Um, I haven't gone to the new Texas arena, so that one doesn't count. Houston's always pretty awesome. Minute Maid or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Their place is crazy. Like it's cool to train up there, the environment. And being inside while still kind of sort of being outside, it's kind of I've always thought that was pretty neat.
Hmm.
And I mean, just you're in the big leagues, so
Yeah,
you don't really have too many bad places. But those are probably definitely my top three for sure.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, being from New York and being able to go to City Field, it's a different perspective from the seats to the field.
Hmm.
But just to be there, it is almost like Times Square. I can see where you're going with that, with the Apple and all the lights and all the video boards and everything. I can see that.
It's just very vibrant, and
Yeah,
inside the stadium at night, it's just like wow.
yeah,
Like the electric bill has to be through the roof for this during a game.
probably is. Yankee Stadium's probably no better. So,
True,
um,
very true.
but as a big leaguer during your time with Oakland, you got to see a lot of these big names that we were talking about earlier, like Yachty and Albert Pujols. Did you ever get a chance to play against Mike Trout or Juan Soto or guys like that, the newer superstars that are in the game still?
Hmm. Yeah, we played, dude. We played. Mike Trout started terrorizing the Oakland A's in spring training every year.
Yeah.
Right, I'll never forget it, man. My first, I think it was my first big league start, like in camp.
Hmm.
I think it was in like 2015, maybe 2016, maybe, and we play the Angels almost. We played almost every year. We play the Angels first game of spring.
Okay.
So they were like, Bruce, hey, we're going to Tempe playing the Angels. You're starting. I'm like, awesome, sick. And I remember the first game of this year. I'm pretty sure it was 2015. And Trout walks up to the. I was talking to Trout before the game, and he walks up to the plate and he was like, "We'll see how this goes." I feel like it's been forever since last season, and he looks like he's almost stretching in the box,
Hmm.
and he swings at the very first pitch, hits a double to left center, like off the wall. I was like, okay, that's good. I mean, it's Mike Trout, this is great. Pujols comes up, wham, double to left field. I'm like, all right, okay, we're 1-0 already. Trout comes back up. Doesn't even look like everything he does, he looks so effortless with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a rookie yet, so I'm over here kind of like, dang, this dude's incredible, right? Next batter or next at bat hits a soft line drive over the first baseman and bang, triple. And mind
Jeez.
you, I don't know how close you've gotten to Mike Trout. He's not a little dude. Like he's like six,
I've never gotten close to him. So
bro. He's like 6 foot. He's probably like 6 foot, like 230. But there's not an ounce of fat on him, and he's stacked, right? So when he's running around the bases, dude, you're like, this is incredible to watch because like he's technically a stocky guy, right? But
yeah,
he's fast and strong as hell. And
I've
so it was like ass out, soft line drive over the first baseman turns it into a triple.
I have gotten to see him play live, and he is a very special talent. Especially just watching him run, it's unbelievable, like you said.
Oh
But
yeah.
we have another content creator with us today. He's special guest and Jason of 161 River Ave. Come on, Jason. Lay on those questions. Please join the convo.
What's going on, guys?
Morning or afternoon for
You
you.
know, it's funny. I heard you over here just talking about Mike Trout. I mean, he reminds me of Jason Dominguez. Shorter, he's stocky, he's compact, he's fast, and he's going to be a very disruptive player on the base paths.
Yeah, and I think one of the most incredible things, like I guess in my time, like playing in spring and seeing Pujols, seeing Trout, it's like everything those guys do, there's not a time where it looks like they're stressed out about it. Because, and I'm not saying like for their career wise, it's like when they hit, it's like everything is exactly the same, and you don't see any type of you very rarely see Mike Trout or Pujols make an ugly swing. You very rarely see them off balance. You like everything they do is almost it's almost like perfect every single time they step in the box. I think that's one of the most incredible things when I did get up to the big leagues. It was like everybody here, everything's consistent. Like good hit ball, bad hit ball, homer, single, hard line drive out. It's like when you play against these guys, it's like when you watch video, it's like everything looks exactly the same. And it's crazy because, to think about it, because in the minor leagues, or sometimes even when I was international, like guys have bad games, right? They come back in, they're stressing, they're just like, yo, I got to get out of this. I'm 0 for 12, like blah 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 blah. And it's like these guys work the same exact way at the same pace with the same mindset because they have so much trust in the process and they work so hard, they don't even have to like try to work harder. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think that's one of the most incredible things that I witnessed amongst different players of my time being there.
Would you say that there are other players in baseball that you've played with that kind of fit that same type of mold, like a Trout or a Dominguez?
Trout, with my guys, Simeon's probably one of the hardest workers I've ever played with.
Simeon,
That dude was Marcus Simeon. That dude was nonstop, early, cage early, ground balls early. Like I don't think I've ever showed up to the field before him, and I show up pretty early.
Yeah.
That dude works hard as hell. Matt Olson was one of those guys too. Even as a rookie, like we came up around the same time, and I played with him throughout the minor leagues. We got drafted together. Kid works hard as hell.
Did you share a lot of reps with him at first base?
Say it again.
Did you share a lot of reps with Matt Olson at first base?
No, I think he's actually the reason I got converted into a catcher.
Really?
Weirdly enough, yeah, because he went the pick before me in the draft. And so they were like, okay, we got our franchise first baseman. And then I was the first college pick for the A's in 2012. I was the first college guy. We took 3 first rounders, and they were all high school kids. It was Addison Russell, Daniel Robertson, and then Matt Olson in the sandwich round. And so when they grabbed me, they were like 100%. We're making him a catcher because I hit left-handed. I was athletic. I threw well, and it was between me and Olson. So it was like Bruce is a little stockier, and at the time it was like, okay, Bruce hits for average. He hits for a little bit of pop. This, that, and the other. It was a really good fit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the reason why the A's turned me into a catcher.
Did you enjoy the conversion from first base to catcher?
The first 2 years, absolutely not. It was hell because we're talking instructional league, early work, blocking, receiving. Like it was very, very difficult. My first like 2 years because I was also learning how to block. I was learning how to anticipate pitches. I was learning how to track pitches in a different way because I'm used to being an infielder. And so getting into the mindset of pursuit of ball, blocking this pitch, receiving this the right way, being prepared to throw at any given time with people on base, like those type of things at 21, 22 years old, those are things I really had to train at. And so doing all of that while trying to catch a young guy that throws 95, 98 and has no idea where it's going, has no sense of control. Like I was 21 in rookie ball, and I'm catching 17, 18-year-olds who throw mid to high 90s but have zero consistency, right? And so I'm trying to work on my stuff while they're trying to work on their stuff. So it's like it was just kind of like a constant battle for 2 years. But my third year, I figured it out a little more, got a little more comfortable. And then in 2016, when I broke with AAA, that's when everything like really, really clicked. My pitching staff was great in Nashville that year. I was almost blocking 100% of baseballs. I was throwing out well over 40% of runners that season in AAA. And then obviously, my hitting came into its own for a lot of the different things that I worked on over the years. And so, that was a year. That was the year I got to the big league. So, it took me a little bit. Definitely took me a little bit. Looking back on it, if I knew I was going to catch in the States, I would have caught more in college. But everything happens for a reason.
Would you, curiosity too, what would you say the most important intangibles for a catcher? Why do they make such good managers? Is it because their ability to connect with pitchers and their teammates in such a way that other teammates can't do that?
Not necessarily. I think it's more along the lines of the fact that the whole time we're on the field, everything is in front of us, and every single thing that happens on the field, we have to know not only how it works, but where everybody's supposed to be at.
That's a good point.
And so we literally sit there just like the coach on the side, but from a center stage standpoint, we watch every single thing that happens all day long, even in practice. Like, even like, so everything is in front of us. And so to embrace the true role as a catcher, we are a field general. We're the ones like, hey, listen, on this, you're supposed to be over here because of this, that, and the other. Hey, you're supposed to be over here. And then on top of that, guess what? We have to manage a pitching staff. We're responsible to move our infield around if a certain pitcher comes in and say he's a sinker baller and we're playing pull shift. It's my job to know, hey, these guys don't really pull this guy. I need you to move back over. Like, we are in control of making adjustments throughout game time in real time.
On the
Like,
fly.
I've had plenty of times over my career where I've come in and be like, hey, coach, listen, we need to move when this guy comes back up. If this guy's still back on the mound, I need the right fielder to move baseline plus, back him up a little bit because this is how we're pitching him. And then I need you to move your second baseman further up the middle. I know he's right-handed. Trust me on this. This guy's not really going to inside out a ball in the four hole. Like, those are the type of things that a good catcher will communicate with and pay attention to, because it's not just about us sitting behind the plate and catching and throwing the baseball. Like, we turn into good managers because we are managers in real time. The difference is we have spikes on while we're doing it and while we're playing.
I really appreciate that. I also asked AJ Przinsky the same question. He had a very similar answer to you. So it's really refreshing to hear, and the way you broke it down in so many, you made it very relatable for the fans, for the content creators. So I appreciate that. Thank you for that one. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Floor is yours, Mike.
Yeah. So, I guess with that being said, how you guys are like the field generals, does it almost feel like that you're a second manager at the same time as well as a field general?
Yeah. Yeah, it does because if A, we have to run a pitching staff, but B, again, like, seeing how we're on the field and there's things that we can see at different angles and in real time that coaches won't be able to off to the side. And so seeing how iPads now in the dugouts, and especially in the big leagues, are delayed because of the whole cheating thing and all that crap, whatever. Seeing how they're delayed, they're not able to make adjustments in game to what's actually happening. And so the communication between manager and pitching coach and catcher are super, super crucial throughout the game, because no matter how good they might see from the side, they don't see everything.
And to your point too, Bruce, you're the bullseye.
Correct.
Pitcher, not the manager. So they're going to rely on you for a lot of intel.
Exactly, and it's very in playing throughout different leagues in different countries. It's very frustrating for managers to have questions and need feedback from your catcher, and either they aren't paying attention enough or engaged enough while they're out there to actually give you a valid response. I've seen it happen when I wasn't behind the plate down in the minor leagues in other countries. Managers get really, really riled up when they're like, hey, what do you got on this, and this, blah, 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 blah. And the other catcher's like, yeah, sounds good. Like, and there's no like dialogue, there's no confidence, right? So it's very frustrating as a pitching staff when you have to go to your coaches for feedback, and you can't rely on your catcher who you're sitting there actively throwing to, because he's not fully engaged or accepting of his responsibilities.
And I guess the pitcher relationship, the pitcher catcher relationship is different than the manager pitcher relationship. So, you know,
100%.
in a way, you're kind of their shrink too. You got to make sure they're good in the head during the game.
100%, man. I've spent a lot of time in my career going out to eat, drinks, off day vibes, whatever, with a lot of my pitchers. I hang out with majority of my pitchers because when it comes to game time, I want to know when you struggle, how you struggle. I want to know if you're stressed out, how you stress out. If you're having a bad day, how you're having it. That way I can know the terminology and the lingo to get you back on track. If you have a good catcher like Yadi Molina, Salvador Perez, this, that, and the other, you don't need to rely on a coaching staff or an iPad to help you get through your outing, right? You have your general, your teammate, your captain per se, 60 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
He knows your quirks and your fidgets. He knows when you're missing what you're doing. He knows your mentality when you're struggling. He knows everything about you. And that's what comes with, that's the beautiful part about catching. Like if our job was just catching and being a wall, like we could put a net back there and it'd do the same job and just give the pitcher a bucket of baseballs. But it's not. We are much more than that, and I personally enjoy that part of it because we see things very, very differently. Like I've always taken my job. My job is to think and to adjust. So all you have to do is think about what you're throwing. That's it.
Yeah.
Like it makes your job a lot easier, takes the pressure off of you a little bit. And it's like my job is to overload my brain for you so you can execute what we're doing so we can get a W.
Especially if a batter makes like a minute adjustment while he's at the plate, you'll notice it before anybody else.
Correct.
You can kind of maneuver, even change the pitch. So, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
Sense, dude. Mike, man, all you, man.
So, Ken had a question for you. He says you played in the WBC for Germany. How well is baseball liked by the Europeans, and do you see a day that there will be a major league team over in Europe?
They like it a lot over there. It's just the competition's not very good. It's like their summer ball over there. A lot of the guys I played with, their summer ball they play over there, it's like they play on the weekends. Like these guys have like regular jobs during the week and they play on the weekends. It's not very competitive. It's fun for them. It's more of obviously a soccer country, clearly culture.
Yeah.
I do not see a team over there. There wouldn't. I mean, their whole team would be foreigners. Like I'm legal. I'm legally a German because I was born there. I have no German family or heritage on either side of my family. I was born there because my dad was on active duty over there for a couple years, and so that's where I came along. But you have Max Kepler, Donald Lutz, who clearly who's out of the game for a while. There's not a whole lot of like full blown like German dudes who play baseball over there that they played over here, right? Like it's just it's a completely different level, like completely different level.
Have you heard of the baseball, I guess, alliance they're forming in Abu Dhabi? Is it Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
The United Baseball League.
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of retired major leaguers and so on and so forth. What's your thoughts on that? Is baseball popular there too?
I think they can grow it. Because piggybacking off obviously the notoriety of the investors and the owners, and then obviously the players, and then the culture over there as well. Like they're trying to expand their culture in that part of the country. And I mean, if you go over there in Dubai, I mean, pretty much that place has unlimited funds because it's just ridiculous, right? But I think they're trying to bring an extra layer of like entertainment and and most of the time those people don't want to have any part of the Western culture, but I think they're trying to bring that in there. Bring that in there, add them a little, add a little texture to their culture and their cities over there. And it's I think it's pretty awesome because not only are they bringing in, older guys, vet guys that have names, that have, the ability to influence and draw people there, but they're also hiring those same guys like as coaches. They're hiring them as like, so it's like players being coached by players, and we're all in Dubai or in that part of the world. It's like it allows us to reconnect in a different part of the world than we're all used to, and allows us to be able to bring a culture and bring an environment to those people that we cherish so much here in America.
I don't even know if there's a national sport there. Is it cricket? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's cricket. If I had to guess, yes.
Yeah. Cool. Have baseball there.
Yeah.
Would you go there? Would you go there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they called me, I'd go there as a player or a coach.
All right.
Because it's an experience. It's like it's a big experience, man. I've never been to Dubai. I've always wanted to go, but being able to go there, and we get to bring the Western, most of the Western hemisphere, our Western culture of Major League Baseball. We get to bring it and to show it off and to embrace it in a whole different country. Like, I think that those things are kind of awesome. I played in Mexico, played in the Dominican, played in different places, and I've always loved like going to different cultures and kind of bringing the way I play and bringing other Americans with me, and I think that would be an incredible experience for sure.
Yeah, that's really insane. But we got Darren from Grumpy Baseball in the house right now. But I actually wanted to ask you, if you had the chance to go and coach in the majors, would you do it? Would you take that chance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing to be labeled as one of the 20,000 major leaguers that have ever played in Major League Baseball. It's another thing to be able to go back and give back to the same culture and the same environment that made me part of who I am today. Playing in the major leagues was always a dream of mine. And I love teaching. I love coaching. I love being a positive influence on the field with other guys. So given the opportunity to work with these guys at this level that I've also played at, it gives it a different perspective, but it also gives me a different purpose.
Yeah.
I enjoy the work. I enjoy, I've had a few people last couple of years. Hey, do you want to be an agent when you get done? I was like, no, I want to be a coach. And they was like, why is that? I was like, because even to this day, like I work with kids and high school, college kids now out in Los Angeles. And when I do my catching lessons, whether it be softball girls or baseball, baseball boys, I'm in shin guards. Like to this day, I'm in shin guards because I like getting done teaching my kids, 6 hours a day, and I'm sweating, right? I'm still in kind of like player mode. I don't want to just sit there and put a ball in a machine and have you look at an iPad to do your adjustments, right? No, I want to be in your face. I want to be hands on. I love being on the field. I love coaching. I love being in uniform. And so I would 100%, 100,000% accept a job in the major leagues if I got one, because that's something that even my small dose of the big leagues I can share with others and potentially help one other player, get better.
If there was a team you could coach for, who would you pick if you had a choice?
That's cool.
Probably the Cubs.
Good one.
A very specific reason, though. My dad's favorite team was the Cubs.
All right.
and I lost my father back in December, and so
Oh.
Oh,
yeah, so appreciate it. But so if I did coach in the big leagues, that I would want to coach for them because that's it's always been his favorite team as long as he was alive. So I think that would be kind of special for me. Yeah.
He'd be so proud.
Yeah.
that would be
I
really
like to think he's proud of me on a daily. So I try to keep that one going.
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, that's how you should do it.
Yeah.
I mean, also being in the military myself, I can understand how that can flow into your work ethic, and even being a military brat, I can understand how that can be that sense of, oh, I want to make my dad proud, and I can get that. So I fully see where you're going with that. And I think that's awesome that you would want to do that. And I have to say that's very admirable as a player or a coach or whatever it may be, that you would want to go coach your father's favorite team. I think that's really cool.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, hell, all I can do is relish in the good times and just really. The more I coach, the more I remember like our lessons, like how he spoke to me, not necessarily what, but how he spoke to me, how he instilled the work ethic and the resilience I have for baseball, right? Never quitting, tackling the biggest obstacles with a smile on my face. Um, just his intensity is the same intensity I have today. So now every day when I go coach these kids, especially when we have tournaments and I'm on the field, it's like everything I say and how I say it is exactly how my dad said it to me at that age. Like it's the only difference is I don't raise my voice on the field. That's it. Like, cause my dad was a super loud and aggressive person. So, and I was his son. So it was a little different cause I had to deal with it regardless. But these kids are mine and I keep a very cool, calm and agitated, but cool head when I'm working with these guys. But the way I say things, how I process things are the same exact things my dad used to say to me as a kid. So I remember everything.
That's cool. Like embrace the stress, embrace the chaos, and don't run away from it. Embrace it.
100%.
Turn it and make it your, flip it on its head. Yeah, man. Amen to that.
So, was there a team that you did want to play for when you got drafted, or when you were coming up and throughout your college days, was there a team that you were hoping you could play for? You could have played for?
Honestly, if I had an option, I loved playing for Oakland because of the history and the value that organizations had in the history of the game. But if I had a choice, it would just be the Braves, and it's not because, oh my God, the Braves are my favorite team. It was because most of their minor league system, and obviously the Atlanta Braves, the big league team, close to home for me. And so I played the closest I've ever been at home was in Nashville, Tennessee in AAA in 2016, 16 through 18 when I was back and forth. That's the closest I've been home, and it was like an hour and a half from my house. But it would have been really, really special and really nice to be able to play big league games, especially home games, 3 hours from my house. So my family, my friends, my college teammates who are from the Georgia area, from the Alabama area, can come and like really watch me play on a consistent basis. And so playing with Oakland, I went in Oakland to the Mets briefly with the Giants before I, blew out my elbow. But playing for the Mets and the A's, hell, I couldn't be further from home. And so I didn't really get to see my family a whole lot throughout my career. And so if I had to change.
Oh, we lost them.
Okay, my bad. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. And so if I had to change anything, it would just be from a logistical standpoint. It wouldn't be. I grew up watching players. I didn't grow up being fans of teams, so it was a little different.
Well, it's you say that because Mike and I talk about this a lot, and we've said it's one of the things that Braves have done, and it created kind of a sense of family and community. right? They locked up a
Yeah.
lot of their. They have a chance to play with each other for the whole decade, which is kind of cool. They get to grow together. They get to play together. There's a sense of loyalty and stability and community there, which is why I really admire the Braves for doing that.
Hold on. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Jason, I just got a phone call and you cut out. I can't hear either one of you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
You able to hear us?
Sometimes if you get a phone call during a StreamYard,
Hold on.
you gotta come back in.
Sorry, guys, we're having a little technical difficulty.
We're gonna go to. Hello. Okay, you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Say something.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I
Can you hear us?
I can't hear either one of you.
Sometimes.
Try coming. Try going out and then coming back in.
Yeah. Going out and coming back in.
All right, so
Sometimes
Bruce will be back in just a second. Yeah, it happens.
For some reason, if you get a phone call on StreamYard, it mutes. I don't know why, but it's must be a StreamYard thing. I don't know.
Yes, Ken, I am in Virginia now. I did want to ask him about the injuries though, because he said he blew out his arm, and it was interesting that he said that, because that's something that it's been going on lately. So when he does come back in, I do want to ask him about that, because I think that's a very important aspect of the game.
Hey, you take over. I will have to dip out a few minutes early because I'm going to get back to training. I'm starting building a company with some friends of mine who are military guys, actually Marines. Building
nice.
a solar company. So,
Nice.
and get back to training.
Got it.
Can you hear us now, Bruce?
Yep. Sorry. I don't. Sometimes when I get phone calls and I'm on stuff,
StreamYard does that. It mutes the person who gets the phone call or the other people. I don't know why.
Well, it happened to me the other day.
Weird.
I was using this as well, and I was on a podcast thing, one of my friends, and same thing happened. Like I was like, what in the world?
Well, I'll leave you at this before I go back to work if I could, Mike. But I was just going to say one thing I admire about the Braves is that they have built a sense of community. They've locked up their young guys for like a decade each, and gives them a chance to grow together and play together. And that sense of family and community is a sense of loyalty too, which is something I admire that the Braves are doing. And it also puts them in a position to contend for a long period of time. Also,
well, I mean, it just creates a consistent environment. It creates a consistent fan base. And I hate saying it like this, but look at the A's, right? Like they used to be a powerhouse. They used to have, and they still do. They have the most loyal and strongest fans in baseball. But what's happened is they have now stood up for themselves and their community, and they're saying, screw this. Like if you guys are going to keep tossing our players away, and we're going to watch season after season after season, our franchise guys being all-stars for other teams just simply because you didn't want to pay them, not because they were bad, not because you don't want to pay those guys, then we're going to stop helping you make money.
Yeah.
Like period.
Exactly.
I mean
the most frequently talked about trade target is Mason Miller, the closer for the A's.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Everywhere.
Yeah, because everyone knows, including other teams, that if they give Oakland a good enough offer, they're going to take it, because at the end of the day, they're not going to pay them.
Yeah, they'll reload, keep reloading.
So under the fact that other teams and owners understand that, and fans, it's embarrassing. To be completely honest, like it's embarrassing to talk to my friends in Oakland, communicate with those guys and watch their games, and there's 3,000 people at a Major League Baseball game, right? And it's like to see people literally boycotting the ownership, a major league team, one of the richest owners in baseball, because he simply doesn't want to spend more money out of his pocket.
Shame.
They're stripping Oakland. Well, they're stripping Oakland of its very historical footprint when it comes to the game of baseball, but it's also the community in general.
The fans deserve better.
the city, the fan, dude. I've made some of my best friends in Oakland over the years, and it's like the fans deserve so much more, because they've put up with this for so long. And the people, and we went and visited. I went and visited a couple last winter. At the end of season, I went up there for a game so I could see my coaches, and it was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed for them. Like it was like I walked up there. I hadn't been in Oakland's Coliseum since 2018, and I was walking up to the players lot, and the security guy still remembered me, gave me a giant hug. Like what are you doing with these guys that work, or these guys and girls that have worked at the stadium for 40 years? Like, what are you doing when they literally, raise their families to be A's fans? This is their culture. This is where they grew up. This is the life that they know. Like, what are you're gonna take your team to Vegas?
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna compete, and that's the thing. You're not gonna compete with the fan base in Vegas because there's so many more entities in Vegas that attract people. Like, what are you gonna do? Kick out the AAA team? Or are you gonna play down the street from them? Yeah, that's not weird at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, guess what? I know people that live in Vegas that go to those Aces games. They said, bro, this place is lit. Like, this is awesome. Like the environment's better. Like the A's are gonna get a new stadium and everything, but guess what? Same team, same dude own it. The team's still not gonna be good. Like you're still gonna have average players on the team. They're not going to lock up anybody long term.
Yeah.
They're not going to provide any type of stability amongst the organization as players. And so it's like nothing's going to change. The only thing changes is where they are. And it's rude, it's disgusting, it's insensitive, it's cruel, for lack of a better word, for them to be able to just pick up and move their team from Oakland, man.
It's refreshing to hear a player's perspective on that. So thank you.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that.
I got to get back to work, guys. But Bruce, it was a great pleasure talking to you. I'll let you get to it, Mike.
You
really,
your
time. It's a pleasure meeting you, Mike. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem.
Man. Talk to you later, guys.
Sounds good. So, Bruce, I know you were talking about how you had blown out your arm or your elbow. This is going to be the last topic before we kind of wrap it up, but you were talking about injuries and elbow injuries because you did that. What is it like now in the dynamic of all of these guys getting Tommy John, from Jason Dominguez to the dude from the Orioles who just had his second Tommy John, to all of these guys are now getting Tommy John. And it's like, what is going on here? What do you think is attributing factor? What is your take on it? What do you think of all of this and all these injuries that have skyrocketed?
Are we going like professional opinion or personal opinion here?
Both.
Professionally, I think that we put so much tension, especially pitchers obviously, but I feel like you put so much tension professionally on that shoulder and elbow, and seeing how throwing is an unnatural move for the shoulder and elbow, being not required but expected to do that same thing every single day and be prepared for it. It puts so much extra tension on your elbow and your ligaments in your arm that your body can't keep up. You could be strong, you could be tall, you could be short, you could be flexible as hell. It doesn't really matter, because though that area, as soon as you overuse it, even though you're maintaining it, you're really not healing it. You're tolerating it, right? And at some point in time, with all that torque and just the physical demand and the physical change of the game today, it's gonna give. Like it's gonna give. Like I had Tommy John almost 3 years ago, and I'm a catcher. And like my just, and I
crazy
played,
to think about.
Yeah, and I played the 2 days prior. I threw people out, I hit fine, whatever. And then the third day, I think we were in Connecticut. I was in Double A with the Giants. We were in Connecticut. I was playing catch before batting practice, and I was like 150 feet with one of my pitchers. And I just went, kind of put some air under it, let it eat a little bit, whatever. As soon as I got to the power position, my elbow snapped, and I threw it 45 degrees that way up in the stands. Like, and I've never had an arm injury ever in my lifetime, ever. Like, I've always had a flexible arm. I've always had a strong arm. I've always done my arm care. Like, I've never had an arm issue whatsoever in my professional career. And it was like, I felt tired, but there was no pain. There was no pulling. There was no discomfort. And then my second to last throw that day, my elbow just snapped in half. Like, it was loud, and so that rehab was hell. And yeah, I mean, it really was. I came back in 10 months to play again, and it took me 2 years to truly feel okay, like every day. Because when I came back in 10 months, I also hit left-handed. So I was doubling the tension on my elbow without really the proper training and the proper staff around me to actually like maintain health and reduce inflammation and all that crap. But that's my professional opinion. Personal opinion is it's youth baseball. And here's why. You have the PGs, the primes, the all these national showcases and stuff where kids really don't spend a whole lot of time. They can spend time getting stronger, but they don't spend time training. And PG and this youth baseball, the culture that we live in, they promote how hard can you hit the baseball. We don't care if you can hit in game. It's the showcases, right? How hard can you throw the ball across the infield? How hard can you throw the ball, from the outfield? You could throw it halfway up the backstop. Doesn't really matter. We want to see the velo. We got infielders taking 6 shuffles after a ground ball during a showcase and throwing it as hard as they physically can, when in reality the runner would be walking back towards first base after running through it by the time they throw it. We're promoting velo over pitchability as kids. We got kids nowadays throwing a substantial amount of breaking balls at 12 years old, 13 years old. When I was 13, we threw fastball changeup predominantly.
That's the same with me.
We never. My dad told us that we weren't allowed to throw breaking balls till we got to high school. Like, and then it's only a certain amount, right? Nowadays, you got 10-year-olds up there spinning breaking balls. Hell, I work with kids from 8 to 17 right now. I've got kids on my 12, 13U team just snapping off breaking balls all the time. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And so it's like with the natural movement of body and what our bodies can withstand. And then on top of that, at a young age, instead of being a kid and being athletic and staying within that athleticism, we have kids doing drive line now when they're not physically mature enough to handle it. And so now when they do get to that point where they have stopped physically progressing, or they stop growing, or whatever the hell you want to call it, now guess where that tension goes right here every day. Goes that tension's there, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's just a lot, man. It's a lot. I apologize. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, because my screen's weird. But no, it's just like everything's just starting these kids at such a young age, man, and you're having these kids put all this pressure on themselves to do this, and you promote it, and then you wonder why guys either never make it to the big leagues, or they end up they're injury prone as pitchers.
Yeah.
They've for years they've focused on velo. But you don't have guys like Greg Maddux anymore. You don't have guys like Tom Glavine. Kershaw's probably him and Greinke are probably the closest living things to those type of pitchers right now. because of the lack of velo, but the pitchability, right? Like, we grew up in a time where movement, being nasty in the zone, was primary. It wasn't necessarily about velo. I mean, you had back in the day, you had Satchel Paige spotting up 105. Okay, that's a freak thing to do as a starter, right? Nolan Ryan threw hard. Yeah, well, Nolan Ryan threw hard as hell, right? You got um
Tom
God,
Cooper.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have all these dudes back in the day. Guess what? They didn't go to pitching lessons. Like, they didn't go to analytically. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't available, but they went out there and they were athletic and they let their athleticism work and they just practiced at what they did. And they got naturally stronger as they got older. And it's like with all the J bands and the mechanical things, warming up with the tube of water. I'm not saying those guys are wrong. It's just like everything nowadays is so technologically advanced, you forget that we're bodies are bodies. Like, if your body wants to break down, bro, guess what? It's going to break down. If you got too much tension, guess what? You're going to snap your elbow. There's a reason why softball girls don't get hurt. They're pitchers, because what they
And there's
do.
nothing that we can do about it.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just the nature of the game. But it's like, now, guess what? The average velo of a fastball has gone up since shit in the last 10 years, like, significantly, right? So you see everybody throwing 100. DeGrom's had his second TJ. Noah Syndergaard had two.
TJ.
He just had his second one, and we got guys in. Now you're seeing college kids having TJ. Like, it's like we have to change. I'm not saying to change the way these guys pitch, but we can't be pressing them for velo and blowing up the radar gun at 15 years old. Like, and then also not giving them the tools to maintain their health. Like, we got to teach kids how to pitch, man. Like, everybody knows it. You throw Aroldis Chapman, Hunter Green, DeGrom, those guys that throw 100 and plus in the big leagues, if you leave that over the middle of the plate, it still gets hit.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. Like, you're not going to get hit in college, but you'll get hit in the pros. That's for damn sure, because you're playing against the pro. So I think you get a lot. I think with technology and training, naturally, these guys are going to throw harder and get stronger. But having programs that stress velo and stress their bodies, and it's almost like forcing their bodies to adapt to it before it's meant to happen, I feel like is gonna continuously cause stress on our pitchers' arms.
Absolutely, I agree, and that's a great point. And it's interesting because Ken brought up Greg. You had brought up Greg Maddox, and then Ken followed up with it and said that he didn't throw a fastball faster than 93 because he didn't have to. All he needed was movement and location and precision, and he was about as dominant as you could get.
And that's the thing. Like, Greg Maddox threw an 83 pitch complete game.
Yeah.
Today's world, if you get to the fifth inning with under 80 pitches, it's deemed like, holy hell, this dude is on a roll today, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The game itself, like, they don't really care about efficiency now. Yeah, they want you to get outs. But now baseball is turned into, like, especially in the starter role, it's like, hey, 5 and dive. But now it's a culture, because you got your sixth inning dude who throws 100, your seventh inning dude throws 100. This dude throws 97 with movement, and this dude throws 103. Like they don't have to do it anymore, right? Like, Greg Maddox prided himself on giving his bullpen a day off.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's interesting, because most pitchers should pride themselves on that. I mean,
that's how you keep. You have that mentality. Guess what? If you got pitchers, if you tell your pitcher, hey, you got to go give me 7 or 8 today, I guarantee you and you say, if you don't give me 7 or 8 today, you're getting cut. right? If you just said something outrageous like that, right? I guarantee you their velo would go down immediately because they're like, hey, I gotta really focus on this location because I need enough in the tank to go 8 today. But it's like
Yeah.
they don't train like that. They train to blow it out. And it's okay nowadays because with the plethora of people that throw hard, they're like, oh, dude, we'll make this a bullshit game from 6 to 9. Like, no worries. And that's the stress and the constant use of these people is how you get people hurt.
No,
But it's the
I
game, it's
agree.
the culture of baseball now. So I mean, you can't really do a whole lot about it.
Nope, because that's how the game has evolved and that's how it's changed. Like you said, it's a great point. But Bruce, I want to thank you again for coming on. This was a lot of fun. We appreciate having you on here. We lost him.
Nope, I'm here.
Can you hear me, Bruce? Oh, hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. Let's add him to the stage.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. So, as I was saying, I want to thank you again for coming on. This was a lot of fun. We enjoyed having you on, and it's nice to talk to guys like you and former big leaguers, because you guys really understand what's going on in the game. You guys have had that first look. You guys know the ins and outs of it, and it makes us more knowledgeable as fans and as content creators. So thank you for that, and thank you for sharing all that with us today, because it was a great conversation. And anytime you want, you're more than welcome to come on. Just you can hit me up on X or whatever. But thank you for coming on, man. It was a great time.
Oh yeah, man. I appreciate the invite. I always enjoy these conversations. Because this is, I love doing this. I love bringing the fans into, the field and how kind of things work. Because guess what we're doing with doing things like this? We get to spread the love and the insight of the game that we all share, right? And that's kind of, it's kind of what it's all about. And so I appreciate the invite. I appreciate you thinking of me. And whenever you want, any other time, man, if you're like, hey, we got a couple dudes on, we want a topic, and let me get Bruce on here. Just give me a shout, man. I'll always make time for you guys.
Appreciate that, Bruce. Thank you so much. Guys, if you guys have any last quick questions you want to ask him, please get that in the comments now, or put it in the comments and I will get it to Bruce and try and get you that answer as best as I can. But this is going to wrap up the show for today. Our special guest, Bruce, for coming on. Thank you again. Our shout out to Nathan and his team for always doing what he does best. Nathan, thank you so much for all this. And, please subscribe to Nathan, and thank you to Jason for coming on earlier and talking with us. Please subscribe to him and NFE, who's supposed to be here but couldn't make it. Please give him some love too and subscribe to his channel. Please like and subscribe and share this out with your friends. Until next time, guys, you have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon.